Welcome to the course on computer programming. As you are aware, this is second part of a two-part course and therefore named as CS101.2x. I would like to mention that this is primarily based on the introductory programming course taught at IIT Bombay called CS101. The course largely covers procedural programming and introduces the concepts of object-oriented programming towards the end. In the first part, we have covered major chunk of procedural programming aspects, and therefore, the prerequisites for this second part are, apart from knowledge of high school mathematics and exposure to pre-calculus, the complete understanding of the basic programming concepts as were covered in CS101.1x. Just to help you, we are listing here the topics which were covered. We began with the notion of algorithms. We studied the elements of C, C++ programming languages there. In particular, we looked at the basic data types, sequential and conditional execution of programming statements, iterative solutions. Then we looked at data structures such as arrays and matrices and studied their applications. We studied functions and how to use those functions as part of larger programming problem solutions. We spent a week on understanding sorting and searching. We studied string processing as is done in classical C style, but using C++ programming language. And we concluded by basic concepts of software engineering. As stated in the course requirements, we believe that all the participants are familiar with these aspects. Objectives of this course is to build upon your knowledge of basic programming concepts and skills, but to learn how to handle more complex computational applications, and more importantly, to get introduced to the basic concepts of object-oriented programming. The topics which have been listed to be covered under this course are pointers, structures, file processing, handling graphics, introduction to object-oriented programming concepts, classes and methods, and standard library of C++. Let me explain how we propose to organize this course. In the first week, we propose to give you a lot of review exercises which will help you test your understanding of basic concepts which involve the conventional procedural programming. In particular, we are again covering a few basic lectures on pointers because pointers are central to much of our subsequent discussion. In the second week, we will look at structures. We will see how structures along with member functions become the building blocks of object-oriented programming. But before we look at object-oriented programming, third week will be devoted to look at problems which need handling of large data which is stored on external files. We will therefore study handling files, and we will look at problems requiring such large data to be handled through external files. In the fourth week, we introduce the object-oriented programming concepts, and this will be followed by discussion of C++ standard library. It is actually called standard template library, abbreviated as STL. In fact, the beauty in C++ programming is the availability of a large number of classes and member functions which help us solve problems very easily and nicely in C++. In the last week, we will introduce the concepts of computer graphics, again using standard library and building some of our own library functions. The resources that you shall be using for this course are listed on the course page. We will continue to use the code blocks integrated development environment that we had used in the first part of the course, but the participants are free to use any other C++ environment of their choice. We are introducing an auto grader. This is because we realize that conducting quizzes might permit your basic concepts to be evaluated and assessed, but it does not permit you to test your programming competence, for which it is necessary for you to write full programs and get them evaluated. Our autograder will collect program files submitted by participants. It will evaluate the program automatically and will return the score. Currently, it is a batch process, so results may be available perhaps a day later. Substantial reference material will be cited as the course progresses. Mostly it will be from open source, but there would be examples and problems from one of the reference books that is listed in the course. As I mentioned, the autograder evaluates submitted programs. It will evaluate the correctness of the solution for the given test case and whether the program works correctly with other test cases also. This is because a program is qualitatively judged not just on the basis of how well it does whatever is minimally stipulated, but how well it handles situations in real life where the data might exceed the specified bounds, wrong data might be given, etc. etc. For the autograder exercises, every week a programming problem will be given, at least one test case will be provided. There will be pre-formatted program files which are essentially text files or .cpp files. There will be code fragments that are to be written in designated segments. You will see an example later. Each segment is evaluated independently for correctness by our autograder. So, for example, if there are 4 segments and you make a mistake in the very first segment itself, ordinarily the entire program may not work correctly at all. However, if the other 3 segments have been written correctly, then our autograder will be able to give marks for the correct program segments that you have written. The course grading is proposed to be done as follows. We will evaluate you on 4 quizzes. We will conduct a total of 6 quizzes, 2 with the lower scores will be dropped. Similarly, there will be 4 program file submissions. There will be a total of 5 submissions. Again, the lowest marked file submission will be dropped. There will be one final examination and there will be one final program file submission. Altogether would amount to some 100% marks. Based on your score, what grade you will get and what will be the schedule of the quizzes and submissions is all explained in the grading policy and schedule as notified on the course page. In summary, we have seen the outline of the course and the weekly coverage as was described in the slides here. An autograder will be introduced. Participants will be submitting C++ programs which will be automatically graded and they will be able to see their evaluation. The course evaluation approach has been outlined and you can see the details of the schedule and the details of grading policy on the course page. Welcome to CS101.2x. We will do some very exciting programming stuff in this course. Thank you very much.